Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah, dear students at Faculty of Commerce English section, first grade. Today we will have our section about the consumption function, what is the meaning of consumption, how we can calculate the proportion of consumption from the disposable income. طبعا يا شباب احنا عندنا three main components of the income, consumption and saving equation. First, it's the income, consumption, the proportion of income which goes to consumption, and the proportion of income which goes to saving. And we have symbols for them. Income is Y, consumption is C, saving is S. And if we want to obtain saving it's the income minus consumption. So the income or disposable income minus consumption is saving. So disposable income is the current income that you receive in your paycheck after you pay taxes. So disposable income, it's Y minus T. So if we have Y minus T, this will equal to Y subscription to D. Expected future income. And second definition, it's expected future income. The expected future income is the income that you expect to receive in future. So we have the rule of income, which means that if we have higher income, this will lead to higher consumption. So the higher the income, the higher the consumption. And here we have two variables. First variable is the independent variable أو المتغير المستقل. المتغير المستقل هنا higher income الدخل. And there is a dependent variable أو المتغير التابع. المتغير التابع هنا الconsumption. So we have two main variables. Independent variable which will affect the dependent variable. And if we have the disposable income, like this triangle, we have a proportion of it. It's saving, and we have the other proportion, it's consumption. So consumption have the most of the income or disposable income. So here is consumption, here is saving. The summation of consumption and saving equals to income. And this is the consumption schedule. Consumption schedule is where we have values of income and we have values of consumption. And from these two values, we can obtain the formula or the equation. So first we have zero income. We have a consumption of 500. This consumption is called the autonomous consumption is 500. As we increase the income by 1,000, the consumption increased by 750. Income then increased by 2,000 and then 3,000 and then 4,000. As income increases, consumption increases. This will lead us to the equation where is YD and consumption play a great role. We can have consumption, which is equals to autonomous consumption plus the marginal propensity to consume multiply the YD. So here the MPC multiply YD. So in order to get this function, we must have the autonomous consumption, the marginal propensity to consume, and then multiply it in the income. We can then predict how much is consumption. And here we have an assumption that we have zero taxes, which means that the income is the same as the disposable income. Then we come to part 2 of this equation to have the equality. We have the income must equal to consumption plus saving. When we have zero income, this means that we have autonomous consumption of 500 only, and this means we have a negative amount in saving, which means that we have a this saving gap or we have a negative gap. Then when income increased to 1,000, we have an autonomous consumption 500 and we have an increasement in consumption from 5 to 1,250, which will equal to 750. And then we have a negative amount in saving because consumption plus saving must equal to income. Then we have a 2,000 of income, 2,000 of consumption, and 0 saving. At this point, income is exactly equal to consumption with 0 saving. And this is a turning point. دي تعتبر نقطة تحول. النقطة دي بعد كده السيفنج هيبدأ يتحول لبوزيتيف اماونت، الكونسبشن هيزيد والانكم هيزيد. من المعادلة دي نقدر إن إحنا نجيب أكتر من حاجة. أولا نقدر نجيب الميل الحدي للاستهلاك أو marginal propensity to consume. Marginal propensity to consume is equal to delta or change in consumption over change in income. وفي الحالة دي هيساوي 1250 ناقص 500 على 1000. يعني هنا marginal propensity to consume هتساوي 75%. بينما saving has the same equation but we have marginal propensity to save is equal to change in saving over change in income. And this means that we have negative 250 minus negative 500 over 1000 minus 0, which will equal to 0.25. So marginal propensity to consume equal to 0.75. Marginal propensity to save will equal to 0.25. So here we have the relationship between consumption and income. And this is called consumption function. As we know before, in order to get the consumption function, we must have the autonomous consumption and the marginal propensity to consume. لازم يكون معانا الحاجتين دول عشان نقدر نجيب العلاقة بين consumption income in order to predict the consumption amount if income is any number. On the vertical axis, we have household consumption. On the horizontal axis, we have household income. This is the x-axis, we have the capital Y, and y-axis, we have capital C. As we see that the consumption function doesn't start from zero because we have autonomous consumption that any human being must consume even if its income is equal to zero. حتى لو كان الدخل صفر أنا لازم أستهلك. فهنا ما بدأش من الصفر والpositive relationship between income and consumption is shown by this positive upward curve. So this function shows the consumption level at each income level. At each income level, the household he consumed a specific amount. If you want to represent it graphically, we here started from the 500 for the consumption function in the short run. For the consumption function on the long run, we will see how to represent it. This is a 45 line. 45 line is representing the income. So as we see here, we started from 500 in order to represent the consumption function graphically. In this part, we have a negative gap. Here we have a negative saving. Here we have consumption larger than income. In this gap, we have consumption less than income. Consumption by the blue line is less than income. And this is representative graphically. In order to get the slope, it's the change in C over a change in Y. Slope here, we can calculate it by change in consumption over change in income. We can obtain the slope. So slope here is equal to 75, and slope here is the marginal propensity to consume. So the marginal propensity to consume is equal to the slope of the curve is equal to 750 divided by 1000 because the change in consumption by taking 2 points on the line, we take 2 points. Here was the point, and another point we take from here. Then we get a change over consumption over change in income, which equal to 75. So the consumption function is equal to 500 plus the 0.75 multiply income. This is as we take before. This part is called the autonomous consumption, and this part is equal to the marginal propensity to consume. In order to get the consumption at any level of income, we use the consumption function. Because even if income is zero, people must consume, people buy goods. 75 each dollar of income is consumed. And this is equal to marginal propensity to consume. 75 each dollar of income is consumed. This means that 25 of each dollar is saved. So this means that 75 is the marginal propensity to consume. And this will lead us to the determinants of consumption function. محددات دالة الاستهلاك. The determinants of aggregate consumption include first, and it's the most important significant factor, it's the household income. دخل. Then household wealth. Then interest rates. Then households' expectation about the future. So we have four main determinants of aggregate consumption: household income, household wealth, interest rates, households' expectation about the future. And in the general theory of Keynesian book, he argued was the household consumption is directly related to its income. So we have four main determinants of aggregate consumption: household income, household wealth, interest rates, households' expectation about the future. The marginal propensity to consume and marginal propensity to save. The MPC is the fraction of change of income that is consumed or spent, and the marginal propensity to save is the fraction of a change of income that is saved. And this is representing the consumption function here. And if we want to calculate saving is income minus consumption, and MPS the marginal propensity to save, or 1 minus marginal propensity to consume. As we see here, for the consumption function, the line is in the positive area. As we see here, we're starting from positive A, and we have an autonomous consumption of A, and we know that we have a negative amount of saving at this point if you want to present the saving function. And the slope is the change of y over change in consumption. So as we take before, this area is all income, this is a positive saving, and this is the consumption. And this line is representing the consumption function, and this is the household income, and vertical axis we have consumption. So if we have increasement in the constant, we can represent it graphically, and we can represent also the increase in the marginal propensity to consume. Increasing constant will shift the entire consumption function parallel to the original upward. So there will be upward shift. If we have here the consumption function, as we take it started from here. If you wanted to represent an increase in constant, increase in constant will shift it parallel upward by the same amount of increasement. While the increase in marginal propensity to consume increases the slope of consumption. So here we will increase the slope. From here, we start from the same point, even here or here. It depends on the amount of the marginal propensity to consume. This will represent the increasement in the marginal propensity to consume. As we see here, we started from the same point, and this amount is the increasement in the MPC. This represents an increasement in the constant. And this area is representing the consumption function, this line. And if you started from the negative part, this is the saving function. Saving function, it's change in saving over change in disposable income. Marginal propensity to consume is the change in consumption over change in disposable income. So this is the consumption and saving function. So in this section, we will have the consumption function, the saving function, marginal propensity to consume, marginal propensity to save. ال MPC وال MPS العوامل المحددة لمعادلة الكونسبشن أو معادلة الاستهلاك على الأجل الطويل وعلى الأجل القصير. How to predict the consumption level by any level of income using the consumption schedule or using even the equation. Thank you for your listening and good luck.